One of the things that I really I was struck by when you talked about um, creativity and the word you used, which I loved, was manic focus. Um, I'd like to know your take on that, also in terms of how you personally have or are living it or have lived it, both as a person who's struggling with mental illness or addiction, and as a person who has overcome it. Maybe like the because I don't think the manic focus really goes away when you're a person who likes to do things or is constantly producing or a productive human being. I think the manic focus thing is perhaps always there. So I'd love to know a little bit about that process.
Yeah, I think that any creative person can probably relate to that idea of manic focus, right? Because once you get into your creative zone, it's almost like you're possessed, right? There's a flow to it that time sort of stands still or has no meaning, really. You're absorbed in what you're doing. And that can be one of the most beautiful things that you can experience in life, right? I mean, to have that kind of intensity of feeling, intensity of focus, and being wrapped up in something that is just an expression of your being. That's the highest thing we aspire to as artists, right? Is to find those moments. You can't manufacture them. They just kind of happen, right? When they happen, that inspiration comes.
Right.
I think that what you're touching on, though, is that for creative people, that also can be the same kind of part of the brain that can allow or cause certain people to kind of venture out of the realm of what tethers you to reality sometimes, right?
Right. You start drifting away. Like you're so in that world, I guess, when you're there, that there's that fine line between being there and, I don't know. Yeah, I visualize like the space, the astronaut that's, tethered to whatever the satellite, and it's kind of like drifting away, and there's that possibility of, you going really far.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's some science to this, and I'm not a neuroscientist or any kind of doctor. But the whole left brain, right brain thing, the part of the brain that is more logical and more attuned to the specifics of reality, and how you are interacting with them. And then there's the other part that's, thinking intuitively, thinking more creatively, even fantastical, when it comes to um, creativity and just the part of our brain that's more childlike, more able to discover new horizons
Right.
and expand our experience. Those two things, we need both of those in our brain, to function. We really need a balance of both. A healthy, plane of existence has a pretty good amount of both of those things. Some people have one more than the others, and
Yeah.
creative people tend to have the one part a little bit more that is perhaps a little bit less sometimes tethered to reality, and that's what allows people to think outside of the box, right? to
Right.
to see things in a way that maybe people haven't seen them before, and to create things hopefully with a vision that's unique to your experience of reality. However, that is also part of the brain that can cause you to um, experience the anxiety of not knowing how to really deal with reality as well, because you're maybe not as focused on what's tangible, right?
Right.
For people that suffer from some disorders like bipolar or schizophrenia, where that part of your brain is actually hallucinating, and the manic focus can happen to a degree that you have lost touch with reality almost entirely. That's an extreme example, of course, of that gone awry. But I think in artists, the reason why we have a lot of issues with mental health sometimes is because we are looking at the world through that lens, and sometimes when you're wrapped up in that, it can be a little confusing.
Right.